I look at my life as like, especially in my career, as like pre-Crazy Rich Asians and post-Crazy Rich Asians, because so much has changed and it impacts everything every day.
Oh no, I couldn't impose.
No, it's not a problem.
You know, I had some dinner plans.
Seriously, we've got a lot
of dinner.
I think that it gave Asian American people like a kind of ownership over their own stories and a kind of like ability for them to share that experience, to tell things that are true to themselves.
The box office success of Crazy Rich Asians in the summer of 2018 has reset expectations and ambitions for Asian American actors and filmmakers. Almost a year later, Awkwafina stars in another movie with an all-Asian cast.
Please tell me.
Vinan is dying.
She doesn't know, so you can't say anything.
Numbers are really important for this business because if the film does well financially, it means it works. It means that films that are told with specificity have the potential to make money and to connect with a broader audience regardless of whether or not they themselves are Asian. When we were younger, where we would just say, well, you know, these people don't represent me, but I'm kind of funny like that girl, and you know, so I'll sort of find some way to relate to this person, even if they don't fully represent me or my experiences. And I think that's a compromise that you're not even aware how much of a compromise that is until you see a movie like Crazy Rich Asians or Always Be My Maybe, where suddenly it's like there's like a click in place where you go, oh my God, this has been missing from my entire life.
Hi, baby.
Hi, baby.
And I've talked to all of these actors that I've watched growing up. It makes you think about not how we're evolving, but what we're evolving from. You know, these actors have gone through immense struggle that we'll never know today.
Hot stuff.
You have to understand that to understand like where we're going, what we're coming from. You know, it's like, you can't ask like, why did that Asian character choose that role? You have to ask why that role was the only one available to that Asian actor. Why they have to go on auditions constantly like that, the ones that we're walking out on this generation.
Of course, Stu. That is cool.
It was Asian Americans on social media that brought a lot of these like issues to the core. Like, why is this happening? We're pissed off about it. We're saying something about it. This should affect your decisions on how you plan your stuff. And I think that our voices were heard.
In 2016, when I launched Starring John Cho, it was kind of the precipice of a lot of whitewashing. News about Doctor Strange had come out with Tilda Swinton's character and with Aloha, starring Emma Stone. And it really came to a head for me when watching the Oscars that year where Chris Rock was hosting and he trotted out three little Asian kids to kind of make a joke that they were PricewaterhouseCoopers' most diligent workers. And hearing the audience's laughter and reaction really kind of struck me and hit a chord where it really felt as though this is the way that the entire country viewed Asian Americans. I don't think that I could have predicted that in 2 years after #Starring John Cho came out, we would have big movies like Searching and To All the Boys I Loved Before and Crazy Rich Asians come out. Definitely, I think, exceeded my expectations in terms of the pace that this was going to progress.
I absolutely love seeing roles that don't have a race descriptor or a sex descriptor. That's great. And that's a way that Asian Americans can integrate. But another way that we can integrate is literally telling our own stories, you know, and being in charge of those stories, yeah.
I certainly hope that it's not a trend and that, in fact, it's moving in a direction more and more where audiences are demanding representation on every level, and so that we can ultimately have more and more specific stories that reflect the melting pot that is actually this country and this world.